In the last video, I spoke about how to feel your feelings, the unpleasant ones, safely. And there was a caveat to that, which was if you are someone that has experienced trauma or you are on a trauma healing journey, that potentially feeling your feelings all by yourself might not be the best course of action. And that's what this video is about. So one of the questions I asked was if it doesn't feel safe for you to feel your feelings, if that at the thought of that feels overwhelming and unnerving, then it's highly likely that you're going to need some support in order to help you recultivate that sense of safety so that you can make space to process what it is that you would like to process and integrate. And this is the reason I'm talking about this is because we often are told that we have to feel all of our feelings in order to be able to heal. And that isn't true. And not only that, is that it can be detrimental at times as well, especially if we are forcing and pushing ourselves to go deep and to sit with our feelings for a long time. This can also overwhelm the nervous system, dysregulate it. And in some cases, it can be re-traumatizing depending on the things that it is that you want to process. And I don't mean to say that because I don't want to scare anybody, but it's so that you are more informed and you can decide which is the best course of action for you. So there's a reason that you've likely struggled to explore and express your feelings already. And that is because during the time of overwhelming events, it was too much for your nervous system to handle in that moment. And so what the nervous system did in order to be able to protect you was disassociate or disconnect or numb out or just kind of put a stop to you being able to feel that. And this is when the body typically goes into survival mode. So we either go into a freeze state or we need to fly, we need to go into a flight state, we need to run. And we can have that kind of energy. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're actually frozen, although that can happen, or we have to run. But sometimes it's not possible for those things to take place. And that is what actually causes the dysregulation and us being stuck in that survival mode. But that energy from that part of your nervous system can be what is causing that dysregulation. And sometimes it can actually be very subtle and we're not fully aware of what's happened because the nervous system has just decided you do not have the capacity to process and integrate this at the moment. You've got stuff that you need to be able to do in order to get through to where it is that you need to go. And so we're gonna push this down. We're gonna suppress this. We're gonna repress this. And then when you have the capacity later, when you begin, wanting to explore what happened and heal from what happened, then we will begin to release some of those emotions and those sensations that couldn't be completed, that couldn't fulfill their life cycle at that event. So it's kind of, they can be frozen almost in time. And what often happens is when we start to do the work, the body realizes that we're doing the work and it can sense that we have got the capacity and the willingness to do some of this work. And then sometimes we can experience something called flooding, which is where the body and the mind, the memories, the sensations, the emotions can begin to flood the system and all come back online and be like, oh, they're ready to do this work now. And so it can begin to want to process a lot. And this is where it becomes really important and beneficial to work with a trauma trained somatic practitioner like myself or somebody similar, because what we don't want you to just feel all of your feelings, because like I said, that can become too overwhelming and actually cause the nervous system to be overwhelmed again, and that it goes back into like a shutdown mode. And so we don't want that. So what we have to do is help you build capacity and safety back in the body, back in the nervous system, back in the environment where possible. And once that has been established, which also has this foundation of agency to it. So understanding that now that you have choice about how much you want to work on today, how much you want to process and talk about, what kind of resources you want to choose, what kind of grounding activities that you want to choose. Having choice, having agency over your healing journey and the way that you go about it is an extremely crucial part of the healing journey. So not feeling like you've got to go along with what the practitioner says or what the person on social media says or what the workshop or retreat leader says, that you actually should always have choice. And a good trauma trained practitioner will always be asking you that. What would you like to do? What would feel good for you? What would feel right or safe for you in this moment? What do the options look like? So if you're working with someone and they're not asking you these things, then that's a little bit of well, it's quite a big concern, to be fair. And so what we do is in order to help you actually do the healing work and the processing and the integrating that you are looking for, we need to do it in bits. So like I said, we've got that initial agency and grounding and resourcing, and I can make videos on what those things mean, what all of these words mean as well. If you want, please just go ahead and pop a comment in the comments section below and let me know what you'd like to know more about. And then we explore predominantly two things. One is called titration. And so titration is where we work with you to just do a little bit at a time and to just see if we can explore something a tiny bit, like we're talking 5% of what it is that you want to process, and reflecting, how does it feel? How do we feel upon opening that, upon exploring that? What's going on in the body? Let's come back to ourselves and let's check in with that before we go any further. This helps to reinstall this sense of safety in your nervous system, because it understands that you are caring for it and that you are not just going to ambush it with, or let it be ambushed, let yourself be ambushed and flooded with all of the events or the event that took place, or the feelings, the situations that may have happened. And then the other thing that we do is pendulation, which is where we, like a pendulum, yeah, that's it, right? We are able to go towards the thing that we would like to explore and process, and then come back to safety, and then towards, and then come back to safety, and then towards and come back to safety. This is why working with a trauma trained practitioner is really important, because often it's very, very difficult for a regular person to have the capacity to do that pendulation and that titration. And a trauma trained practitioner will be able to hold space and guide that and provide that really supportive, structured environment, space for this to take place. And so this fear of, I don't want to open up this hole and all of this stuff come out, and then, me not be able to stop it, because a lot of people have had really deeply cathartic experiences where they've cried and cried and cried for hours and hours and hours. And this has caused more trauma in the nervous system. It's become so awful and overwhelming that You know, they think that that is the way that healing takes place, that we've got to do it like this. I've got to sit through that. I've got to dig up and get out all of this pain in this hugely cathartic way in order for me to be able to heal. And that is not the case. And because people have often had those experiences alone, they think that when we talk about sitting in your feelings or feeling your feelings, that this is what the work looks like. And it doesn't, from a trauma trained, informed perspective. What we want to do is just work with one layer at a time to very slowly, gradually increase your capacity to feel, because it's not about feeling everything all at once. It's about getting better and building the capacity to feel little by little, not feeling everything all at once. That's not a sign of healing. And that's not the objective of doing this work. We really want to take it step by step and make sure that the pacing is right for you, and that checking in again about the agency. Does this feel right for you? Would you like to take a break? Do you want to stop? Is this something you want to explore further? Have you had enough with this right now? This choice should always be asked, presented to you, so that you have the ability to give consent for yourself and take care of yourself and know, when have I reached my capacity for this right now? So it's safety what allows us to feel our feelings, and not just feel them, but process and integrate them and heal from them, not force and not pressure. So if this video has resonated with you, this topic has resonated with you, my name is Donna Louise, and I'm a trauma-trained somatic practitioner, a functional breathwork coach, a clinical EFT practitioner, and a trainee counselor. And I help people to get out of survival mode, restore their nervous system, and reconnect with themselves again. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. And if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments section. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Until next time, take very good care.